There you go.
Yep.
It's on now.
I have friends and neighbors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Today we have an invocation by David Barnes.
Thank you. Bow your heads with me. Dear Father, you are good, and thank you for your grace. Father, as we come off of Easter weekend, we are reminded of the sacrifice that your Son made for everyone in this room. And so as we talk through city events and planning and everything, may we be reminded of that sacrifice that is necessary from everyone for the good of everyone. So God, may that be the heart posture of everybody in this room as they make big decisions for this city and its moving forward and its future. And so, God, thank you for this people who are willing to sacrifice weekly, daily, in order to serve this community. God, we are so thankful for them. So we lift them up to you in blessing. We lift this meeting up to you for wisdom and discernment. And God, thank you for being such an amazing God and loving us when we were unlovable. God, you are good. Thank you, Jesus. We pray these things in your precious and holy name. And everyone said, amen.
Thank you. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Potato?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Pitt?
Here.
Cole?
Here.
Elfers?
Here.
Kenna?
Here.
Ranky?
Here.
100%. All right, tonight we're working off an amended agenda. 2 items have been added to the consent agenda. One would be Recreation Conservation Office certification of applicant match, Community Outdoor Athletic Facilities, Bill Heath Sports Complex, multi-use synthetic turf, say that fast 3 times. Recreation and Conservation Office certification of applicant Match Youth Athletic Facilities, Bill Heath Sports Complex, lighting improvements. And we have an executive session to discuss pending or threatened litigation. This has also been added. We also have a proclamation, 2025 Arbor Day. Derek Berry, Community Services. Will you please read the proclamation into the record?
I would love to. Thank you, Council Mayor, for having me here tonight. This proclamation is a recognition of Arbor Day and celebrating the Tree City designation. Whereas the City of Sumner Forestry and Parks Commission promotes the responsible planting and maintenance of trees on public and private property, and whereas the citizens of Sumner highly value their environmental quality and promote the planting of trees as well as an enhanced park system, and whereas the City of Sumner recognizes that trees reduce air pollution, improve aesthetic value, provide shelter from wind and rain, provide animal and bird habitat, reduce noise pollution, save energy, enhance property values, and provide privacy. And whereas the planting of trees promotes community pride and enhances the character of the city and its neighborhoods. And whereas Arbor Day is a nationally recognized celebration of trees and tree planting. Whereas Sumner is celebrating its 31st year as a tree city, as designated by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Sumner proclaims April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day, and requests that all citizens join us and celebrate our trees, our parks, and our continued commitment to environmental stewardship. I also want to share that we did have our Arbor Day planting this last Saturday, out off 16th. We planted 14 American hornbeam. Wisconsin Red is the nickname for them. So it was a great event. Any questions? We're good to go?
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Resolution number 1717, Commute Trip Reduction Plan 2025 through 2029. Resolution number 1719, South Tank Seismic Retrofit, FEMA HMGP Grant Acceptance. Item number 3, Recreation and Conservation Office certification of applicant match community outdoor athletic facilities, Bill Heath Sports Complex multi-use synthetic turf. And item 4, recreation and conservation, office certification of applicant match youth athletic facilities, Bill Heath Sports Complex lighting improvements.
Thank you, Michelle. Deputy Mayor Bowman, would you like to please adopt the consent agenda? Make the motion.
Yes, I'd like to adopt the consent agenda of April 21st, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Potato. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would any council member wish to remove an item tonight? Seeing none. Councilmember Ranke, did you push your button?
Yes, but not for that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, it passes unanimous. Okay. We have no public hearing tonight. We move on to regular unfinished business. We're on to public comment. Michelle, did we get anybody signing up for public comment?
Yes, Mayor, we do have 2 people who have signed up for public comment. Mayor, is there anyone who's online that wishes to speak?
Yes, is there anybody online that would like to make a comment? Seeing none? Okay.
Would you like me to read the comments?
Yes, could you please read the...
The public comment period is your opportunity to speak to the council and the mayor on issues that are not on the agenda. When the clerk calls your name, please step up to the podium, making sure the microphone is on, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. The council will not be answering questions, and you may be directed to a staff member. And Mayor, the first person that we have on tonight's sign-up list is Randall Adams, 15013 63rd Street, Court East, Sumner.
Thank you, Randall Adams.
Happy Easter Monday. Yes, he has risen. Of that, we can all be thankful. A couple of weeks ago, I received 2 emails from the city that listed the documents that had been sent to me over a year ago regarding an inquiry I had made. I guess the reason for the new email is the city lining up your defense if I sue you. There was a long list of documents, 90% of which could never be opened in the original emails. 5% were common knowledge docs of the city. The other 5% were redacted complaints filed regarding a high-profile case that shook the community. That surprised me, so I spoke to my daughter, who had recused herself from that case, as our grandson, her nephew, played a Little League baseball team coached by that defendant. If presented, not sure the court would like those redacted complaints being sent to someone who didn't ask for them, nor the other 90% not being able to be opened. Is my timer going? I don't see it. Okay, I don't see my timer going. There we go. I will not go beyond, I hope. Yes, I understand that at the age of 70, there are others who are more smarter than I on a computer. So I had other tech-savvy coworkers try to open up those files, and they never could do so. So I thought I'd let you know that just in case if we square off in court, you don't want to embarrass yourself by going down that thorny rabbit trail. The city constantly states you want citizens to join your various committees. Nicholas Bierman has twice applied to be placed on committees over the last year. He was asked if the Ryan House was the only thing he was interested in or not given an interview at all. The city would rather not fill committees than to include someone who may ask questions. What you really want is yes people to allow you to do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. In the last 18 months that I have been attending city council meetings, there have been 4 or 5 no votes total from council members. Otherwise, you always approve everything 7-0. Remember, city staff hide behind you and claim all decisions, positive or negative, are yours because you're the ones who voted, and staff has no ramifications for the inaccuracies of what it is that they presented to you. In the SEPA review reply, it states that all my questions have been answered, which they have not, yet mainly I complain, which that possibly is. I am still waiting for any questions to be answered, though now I know if you are asked a simple why question, that's considered a complaint. Regarding your treatment of Nick Bierman, you can put this in my complaint column. Your behavior to him has shown your true colors, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves. If you want to see how wrong city staff can be, read the attached proposed resolution 1716 MOU, allowing the city to accept $5,800 and compare that with what the actual deeds say. It is like Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit depicting Alice in Wonderland on an acid trip versus what the deeds actually say. Some suggestions have suggested that the proposed MOU was the city wanting people to pay for the rope to use to hang themselves with. Folks, that's what a complaint sounds like. And no, I have not spoken with an attorney, just in case you were wondering.
It's all right. I do remember interviewing Nick Bierman in my office for an extensive time, and he was not the only one to sign up for that position. So.
And there was positions that were left open when you did not hire.
Okay, who is next?
The next person would be Nick Bierman, 5802 Parker Road East.
All right, well, I heard my name invoked, so here I am. Nick Bierman, 5802 Parker Road East. Well, first of all, I actually would like to congratulate Mark, who's expected to be appointed to the Planning Commission tonight. I regret that I won't be able to serve with Mark on the Planning Commission this time around, since, as Randall alluded to, or directly stated, that I was not granted the opportunity for an interview for the Planning Commission this time. However, I will continue to do whatever I can to improve my resume, and hopefully I will be joining you at some point in the future. I think there's not much more to say without getting too emotional. I think the word that comes to my mind about the way that things have gone, the way that the words that have been said about particular people in our group and myself, the word that comes to mind is pettiness. If, without airing things out in public, I think I'll just leave it as saying that if there are questions about what Randy and I are talking about, people know where to find me. You can contact me and we can talk about it offline. I'd rather not put it all out here, but it's been bizarre. It's been unusual. It's not been appreciated, but it's the way it is, and it's what we've had to deal with and what we continue to deal with. So I'll just leave it at that, and people can reach out to me with questions and we can talk more offline.
And Mayor, that is it for my list.
That's it. Is there anybody else that would like to have a comment? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to new business. Okay, first on the agenda, Forestry and Parks Commission appointment, Nicholas Johnson. Councilmember Elfers, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Nicholas Johnson to the Forestry and Parks Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Kenna. I call on Community Services Manager Derek Berry.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me here tonight to the appointment of Nicholas Johnson to the Forestry and Parks Commission. So Mayor Hayden is seeking the confirmation of Nicholas to the commission. We are a commission of up to 12 members appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council. They are to help with the supervision and setting up of rules for parks, recreational facilities, cemetery, trails, trees, and planting trips of the city of Sumner. With Nicholas Johnson, we have another tree person. It's fantastic. He has many years of service in the city of Seattle and has his own arborist company that he runs. So him coming to help us with our planning for urban forestry is fantastic. We do have a couple other people on the commission, but it is a great addition to the group. I'm looking forward to his appointment. Do you have any questions for myself or Nicholas?
Mr. John, would you like to say something?
No pressure.
No, I just would really appreciate the opportunity to serve this city. It's a wonderful place to live. It's given me so much, and I just want to give back. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay. Is there any comments from the public? Seeing none. Any comments from the council? Anybody down there? No? We do appreciate our commissioners, regardless of comments that are made, and we look forward to working with you, Mr. Johnson. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Kenna,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Clairgett,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Bull,
Yes.
passed unanimously.
Passes unanimous. All right. Planning Commission appointment, Mark Malcolm. Councilmember Kenna, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mark Malcolm to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Renke. Okay, I call on Economic Community Development Director Ryan Windish.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Tonight, the Mayor is seeking confirmation of the appointment of Mark Malcolm to the Planning Commission. Mark is an active Sumner community member. I'm sure you've seen him at a number of our council meetings over the last several months. He is looking for a positive way to contribute back to the community, and whether that is volunteering or attending council meetings. He has a background in nonprofits and organizational management, which I think will make a great addition to the Planning Commission. A little bit about the Sumner Planning Commission. They serve as an advisory board and in an advisory capacity to the City Council. The Commission's main purpose is to assist in the implementation of the vision and policies in the Sumner Comprehensive Plan, including reviewing and making recommendations on city plans, goals, policies, changes to the Sumner Zoning Code and development regulations. The Planning Commission consists of 7 members who are appointed by the Mayor and confirmed by the City Council. A majority of the members must be residents of the City of Sumner, while 2 members can be non-residents so long as they have a demonstrated interest in the City of Sumner. Demonstrated interests include owning a business, owning property, that kind of thing. The members of the Planning Commission are to be selected without respect to political affiliations and shall serve without compensation. Members are appointed for 4-year terms. Currently, we have 5 members on the Planning Commission. Mayor Hayden is recommending appointment of Mr. Malcolm to fill a Planning Commission vacant seat through April 2029. Happy to answer any other questions if Mr. Malcolm is here.
All right. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? I will make a comment. I started on Planning Commission, and I'd put in a couple terms of Planning Commission, so be careful because you might be stuck. I'm still here. All right, anybody else? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Would Mr. Malcolm like to say anything, Mayor?
Yeah, I will.
Mayor, would you like to hear any?
Yeah, Mr. Malcolm, would you like to say something?
I'm just getting over a cold, but
Okay, it's up to you. Okay. I didn't mean to pass you over. I just knew you had a cold, that's all. All right. There we go.
Potato?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Kenna?
Yes.
Clarigat?
Yes.
Elfers?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Passed unanimously 7-0.
Thank you. Okay. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee appointment, Charles Hendricks. Councilmember Botetto, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Charles Hendricks to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Kenna. Communications Director Carmen Palmer is standing at the hole.
Ready and waiting.
Ready.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time this evening and for this appointment. We appoint our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee members every year. In your previous meeting, you reappointed 3 of those 4 members. Technically, there are 5 members who serve on the committee per state law. The council member, who is actually Councilmember Botetto, serves as the chair. And then you are asked or required to have 2 people who can use the funds and 2 people who collect the funds. So tonight, Charles Hendricks represents the Candlewood Suites. He's the general manager, one of the 2 properties that collect lodging tax here in Sumner, as well as a few other smaller properties throughout town. So he has graciously applied to serve on this committee with us. And although not required on this committee, he grew up in Sumner. So that's just a little added bonus. So that's.
Wow. Is Mr. Hendricks here?
He is.
Would you like to say something? Come on up to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say that as somebody who has grown up here in town, I went to Maple Lawn Elementary through Sumner High School and has spent the last 14 years of his life in hospitality. I think it would be a pleasure to be able to make sure that we continue to get people into the beautiful town. So that's all that I have to say.
Thank you very much. Happy to have you. Any comments from the public? Seeing none. Any comments from the council? No? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Potato?
Yes.
Elfers?
Yes.
Kenna?
Yes.
Clarigat?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Unanimous 7-0.
7-0. Thank you. Okay, ordinance number 2925, amending Sumner Municipal Code, Chapter 16.06, commute trip reduction. Wow. Councilmember Cole, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I move to approve ordinance number 2925, amending Sumner Municipal Code, Chapter 16.06, the commute trip reduction.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Elfers. I call on Economic Community Development Director Ryan Windisch again.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm back with the consent agenda contained an approval of the updated commute trip reduction plan. And this ordinance goes in and actually amends the Sumner Municipal Code specific to that plan. Also includes a number of cleanups and updates. It's been a while since that section of code has been looked at. And it adopts the 2025, it references the commute trip reduction plan 2025 to 2029. Commute trip reduction program is required by state law, and it aims at reducing carbon emissions and traffic congestion, and really focuses on targets work sites with 100 or more full-time employees that get to the work site during the 6 and 9 a.m. weekday hour. And it focuses on the 9 most populous counties in the state. So it requires us to have a commute trip reduction program, and the employers that qualify for that, meet those standards, have to have a program for how they reduce the number of drive-alone vehicles that come to their work site. So that's, promoting transit, having guaranteed ride home, a number of other incentives and programs they use to try to reduce the number of drive-alone trips to the work site. We're required to update this every 4 or 5 years, and we rely really heavily on Pierce County's Ride Together program. Their trip reduction program is countywide. And so as we were updating the commute trip reduction program, we were kind of leaning heavily on their processes for reaching out to the community, reaching out to different work sites, and really developing the text in the commute trip reduction plan. And as I said, the ordinance amends the code, makes several updates to that, not the least of which is referencing the proper RCW that's referred to in the commute trip reduction plan. So our commute trip reduction plan, of course, required some process. We sent this to the Puget Sound Regional Council. They received it, which is a regional planning agency that looks at transportation. They approved it on November 18th of last year. We sent it to WashDOT, so the Washington State Department of Transportation approved it in February, and then City Council has approved it tonight. So I do want to add that this did go to the CD Committee, Community Development Committee of the Council, 2 different times. There was a minor amendment to the commute trip reduction plan in there that really referenced the city supporting Sound Transit and looking at future service around Sound Transit, which could be ridership, it could be frequency, those kind of things. So staff's recommendation is move to adopt the amendments in ordinance number 2925 and amending the Sumner Municipal Code pertaining to commute trip reduction requirements. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Windisch. Any comments from the public? No comments from the public. Seeing none. Any comments from the council on this? Councilmember Bowman?
No.
No? Councilmember Elfers?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thank you for bringing this up. We did have a couple conversations about it. So just remind me, how many employers, what is this program like? How many people are doing it?
So right now there's 2, Amazon and the City of Sumner.
Okay.
And again, we have some large employers in the North End, of course, in our manufacturing industrial center, but Costco would be a good example of a workforce that does not show up between 6 and 9 a.m. They usually show up earlier than that. So you have to have 100 employees that are really kind of in that affected time slot to qualify. After this is approved, we would be notifying. We'll do a notice, in the paper, and we can reach out to employers as well and let them know that we've updated the plan, and those that qualify are kind of on the hook to contact us and let us know that they need to be working on the program.
Thank you. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cole,
Yes.
Largett,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Ranky,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Passed unanimously, 7-0.
Passes unanimous. Okay. We move on to council reports. Deputy Mayor Bowman.
Yes, thank you. So, first of all, I'd like to thank all of the people that did volunteer to be on the committees. It's always good to get the community support. Unlike the mayor, I did spend a little bit of time, only 2 years, on the Planning Commission. But I guess I am still here too, so I don't know. I'm stuck. But it was a great commission. That's where I met Councilmember Elfers, was on that Planning Commission, and Ryan Windisch. So a lot of good comes out of these commissions. I wanted to take a few minutes tonight, though, because I feel like There's a lot of people that don't get into the meetings. They don't get to attend the meetings in person, but they do attend them on the TV. I know friends that watch this, and then they'll comment the next day. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ryan House. For me personally, I do not believe this is a heartless group of people sitting up here. In fact, I commend all of the effort that people put into their daily lives to be up here and do the best thing that we can to make the best decisions. And I would say, let's not forget, we too are residents of Sumner, and we live here as well, and we like it here. So we talk about it with our families and our friends. In regard to the Ryan House, though, I feel like we've remained fairly quiet up here on the dais and been respectful, just listening. And we've been respecting the legal process, the comprehensive plan process, the biennial budget process, and the CEPA process at this point. These are processes that things go through. It's not just a matter of sitting up here and just casually talking and making decisions. Right? There's processes that things go through. So I feel like for at least the last 19 or so months that I've been on the council, we've been listening respectfully. That's our intent, is to listen and hear. And we do take really copious notes and go back and review these notes. So I feel like now it's our turn in some ways to share some of our own thoughts, and we hope the public will listen as respectfully as we have. With that being said, I did warn the staff that I was going to say something tonight, and hopefully that's fine about the Ryan House project, because I'm going to do it. So, well, I'm very transparent, and pretty much what you see is what you get on how I feel about things. And so I believe if other council members want to chime in, they should. They should chime in as well. I don't think that it was an easy choice for the council in 2023 to realize that the house was unsafe and needed too much work to be able to safely stay open to the public. I mean, many of us up here today, we weren't even on the council, but I don't think that it was just a flippant choice that was made. And I don't think it was a choice that was done in a vacuum either. And since 2018 and through today, I think the city's met with a number of people who wanted to talk about the house because I asked questions. So as things are said here, then we all have the opportunity to go back and ask questions of the staff or our peers here on the council. The city has met at least once, or usually more than once, with the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation, Sumner's Historical Society, the Save Our Sumner Group, the Save Our Sumner's Legal Counsel, the Save the Ryan House Group, Save the Ryan House's Legal Counsel, the Puyallup Historical Society, and a number of grant funding agencies. Now, I'm not saying that's all inclusive. I am saying, though, that's what I'm aware of today in my asking questions. And then I would say that I myself communicate weekly, if sometimes more than once a week, with people that are in these groups to talk about the Ryan House and to get input. And I also know that I've sat in numerous meetings with the city staff and groups that want to save the Ryan House, in specific the Save Ryan House group. And I feel like in a number of ways, I've gotten to know Mr. Bierman very well. We talk, quite a bit and just talk about the Ryan House itself and the process that everybody's going through. So I think there's probably a few other agencies that the city's talked to, but I don't know who they are. I just didn't go that far. The only meetings that we know of that did not happen were when people declined to meet with the city. So not the other way around. So there were a number of meetings. It's been stated that the city doesn't want to meet with groups, but yet the city does meet with groups. So I'm just trying to figure out which groups have said that we wouldn't meet with them, but yet we didn't meet. So I feel like we've listened to public comment. The city's listened at public hearings, at open houses. We had an open house last week. I saw a lot of interaction. That's what spurred me to think about that.
at coffees at the senior center. I know that you've done that. We've talked about that online, through email, phone calls, and as much as I hate to say it, and of course through lawsuits. I mean, it's just kind of where it's been at. So there's problem here to me, where I'm going with this, is that it's not really a lack of words. Although a number of people won't agree with me, right now when we talk about Ryan House and the ability to bring it back up to code, it's about money. Maybe it wasn't about money 2 years ago, maybe it wasn't about money 3 years ago, but today it's about money. So I do know that when I was asking questions of the city, that back in the lawsuit in the fall of 2023, the house was offered back to the Ryan family heirs. Now, it was never accepted for a variety of reasons, but there has been conversation about the fact that the house was offered back to the Ryan heirs. So I would certainly want people to realize that that offer was made. I don't know the specifics and why it wasn't accepted. I see Randall, he's showing me a teeny weeny bit, but hey, you know, maybe it was because it's red tagged. I don't know. And we can talk later. This is my own personal, you know, talking about it, because I feel like we've listened to people talk about it. And so this is my opportunity that I want to take to talk about it. And so nothing is being said with any malice or malintent here, or meant to be erroneous. It's just my own personal feelings. But both the Historical Society and the Save Ryan House groups have come to us and said they would like the house. And they've talked to us about their plans for the future. And so with that, though, I get that they both want the house, but to this point, we've not been able to get a real, what I would call, business plan or a project plan on how to rehab or use the house. And that's not meant to be not nice. That's just meant to be that that's really where it's at. And that's where Nick and I have had a number of conversations on this of, you know, people come and talk, but we can't really set our hooks into anything. We don't know what the end game is. And so that's why I started it with that this is not a group of heartless people. We just don't know what we can hook into, because we want this or we'd like to do that, but there's been no real validity on how it could be done. Again, my own personal opinion. So I just want to make sure that people know that we in fact do listen. We do listen, and we do meet with people, and we do talk with them. And to this point, I can't see where there has been any legal way to just hand the house over. In my mind, I don't see a way to just hand the house over to the Ryan heirs or to either one of the groups. I'm trying to figure this out. So I think the fact that we don't always agree with you that we should just hand the house over, that doesn't mean that we're not listening, you know? So I think that not giving a specific answer that's wanted, in my mind, nobody here is trying to be disrespectful. We're not trying to be disrespectful to people. I'm sorry to hear what Nick had to say. I, for one, will be someone that will reach out to you and want to understand what you were talking about in terms of people being rude to you and Randall. I would like to understand that. So, you know, in terms of a sign of respect, not being able to agree to the end result doesn't mean it's disrespect. It just means that's where we're at right now in this process. So with that said, you know, at the end of the day, Lucy Ryan wanted a park in her memory. That I get. And her children donated the property to the city to honor Lucy. And that's what I'm taking away from this. So I would just want to put that out there. I don't really know what else I would say about it, but I think just the fact of people saying that the city hasn't met with folks, that the council doesn't listen and talk with folks. This is for the people out there that aren't in these meetings and don't watch these all the time, but they can always refer to them. Because as a city council, we do care, but we know we have to make decisions for everyone in this town. So I guess that's enough blah, blah, blah from me. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Botetto, any comments tonight?
Yeah, I would just want to give a few more comments about the Ryan House. The main thing that kind of ties our hands in many ways is the deed, because I was surprised that the house was given to the city in 1926, and here nearly a century later we can't, like if we wanted to give it to a different group, we can't because of the deed. So, and I was on council when we went into the house in 2023 and saw the poor condition. We toured the house, including the upstairs, which now, knowing what I know, it's pretty scary because it is pretty unsecure. But the Historical Society still had their collections in there, and it's a good thing that they were removed before anybody was injured. I was shocked to see how unstable the structure is due to missing beams. And then when they did WJE did a structural assessment, we saw that the studs were split. So, I mean, there's many things that were going wrong with the house. And at this point, it's red tag. So, no one really can go in unless it's, you're been warned. So, but I was surprised at some of the information shared by the group on Facebook. They keep saying that a 4-story apartment can be built on the property. Perhaps it could, but under city ownership, it cannot. And then, like Councilmember Bowman said, we want to honor Lucy Ryan's request for a park to be built in her honor. She didn't expect that house to last a century, but had expected to last maybe 5 more years after it was given to the city. And the city fulfilled its request to use it for a library and the Historical Society, and now it's time to move forward developing the Lucy V. Ryan Park.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole.
Hi, so I also sat on the Finance and Personnel Committee back in 2023, and I was really excited about the Ryan House. I was in there trying to think about all the venue, anything that could be done with that Ryan House to make it useful for the community. It really seemed like a terrific project to me. And so the staff really sort of kept us updated on what was going on. They talked to us about the funding, where it was coming from. They talked to us about some of the issues, but as Councilmember Botetto mentioned, we had an opportunity to actually go into the house, to go upstairs. And actually, I think that was probably my second or third time, probably my third time in the house. And I didn't realize the first time, it was just before I became a council member. I was getting a tour just after, and it was really exciting. But then the third time, it was really scary because you could see all the things that were happening to the house, how it was just really sort of crumbling around us. And, well, I thought that was scary, even though I was all excited about the possibility of it being a really great community space. So the city staff told us all the time really what was going on with it, as I mentioned before. And then they asked us if we had other ideas. And we shared those, like I just mentioned before. So the Finance Committee, there were 3 council members, and the staff provided us with some options for the house. I believe that there were 4 options, and I can't tell you what they were, but we did select 2 of the options, and those options included demolition. And it's not that we really wanted that. It was just because it was really dangerous. I know that I have grandchildren. I would not like to see them in that house at all. I'm not going to go in that house. I wouldn't want any Sumner citizens to be in that house. I think for us, we were tasked with, looking to see what was best for the citizens of Sumner, making sure that whatever we did, we were fiscally responsible in doing that. And so I think that was our job. I think that we did that job. We weren't bullied, not by city staff, and we aren't going to be bullied by by outsiders to make a decision that we don't agree with. So I just want to leave to say that we really just did what we were asked to do. and that our goal was to protect the citizens, make sure that they continue to be safe, and that we did the right thing when it came to our fiscal responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kenna.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to kind of echo some of my fellow council members here and share some of my perspective and thoughts about the Ryan House. Actually, before that, I'll just say thank you for those who are serving on commissions and committees with the city. And Nick, I'd love to be able to work with you to see, if you're so passionate about a lot of issues the city's facing, let's see how we can get you there. I served on the Parks and Forestry Commission for a number of years. I loved that time. Jealous that I don't get to do that anymore with Derek. But I think it's a great way to get involved in the city and kind of see where it goes from there. So thank you to those who were appointed tonight and who continue to serve. So generally, I'll just say, I want to start out by saying I've only been doing this 6 months. I'm not trying to absolve myself from any responsibility by saying that, but I say that because I realize very much how awkward being a council member is, being a member of the public, commenting, sharing emails. Am I going to hear back? Is this going out into the void? I get that. It's a strange situation. We can't have dialogue. We can't have discussion like we would if we were at the coffee shop down the street. So just kind of put that out there. A lot of what I hear makes me feel like people think either the council and or the staff are doing things in an underhanded way. We're trying to get rid of the house. We've been working on this. I think I heard a comment a few weeks back. This has been in the works since 2001 in the Nisqually earthquake. And I can tell you, Councilmember Cole just mentioned this about the plans we were working on. When I was on the Parks and Forestry Commission, it was probably 2019, 2020. We were working on plans to rehabilitate the house. They came to the commission looking for ideas and options. And there was genuine interest, authentic interest to do something. And until the point that the house was found to be very unsafe and unstable, the trajectory of the work on the Ryan House was in that direction. I don't think that there's all the same staff that were in that room telling me about that at that point are here today and are still working for the city. And so it's not a staff turnover and a change in what what our values are or our priorities are. I'll just say that I do listen. I take it all in. I care about Sumner's history. I really do. I've been here 7 years, and I know that to some people that are new to Sumner, that might sound like a decent amount. To some people that have been here for decades, who are born and raised here, who have had generations of their family born and raised here, that's minuscule. So I get that. I'm not speaking for those people that are, tried and true Sumner, but I take this responsibility very seriously. I come to work every day and think about my kids and the future I want for them in Sumner. If they move away, I want them to think, maybe I can come back and start a family and start a life in Sumner if I need to. And so the decisions that I make and that I talk with my fellow council members with and I talk with staff about are with that in mind. I'm not just looking at the balance sheet, trying to save money, trying to do the easy thing. So I hope everybody understands that's where I'm coming from and where all of my fellow council members have very similar values and beliefs when they approach these tough issues. I truly think that it comes down to there's really at this point only one clear path. We've gone through, we've exhausted a lot of the options. We've provided the community with an opportunity to raise funds, to, as Carla mentioned, to come up with a business plan, to come up with a way that we can make this work. And those options have been exhausted, and I don't really think it's in the genuine interest of Sumner to keep on delaying this and keep moving down that road where we just over and over and over again. I talk with city staff usually several times a week. This issue usually comes up, and I worry about the amount of time and resources that we are devoting as a city to this issue. And I'm not trying to speed things up. Again, time was given to this issue. I was not on the council a few years ago when this decision was made, but I'm here now. And I know that I'm seeing a lot of smirks in the audience, and that's fine. You don't have to take what I'm saying. But you have to trust that the city have other things to do. We have roads and sewers and schools and public safety and all the things we are responsible for as a council and as a city staff. So I'm glad that people care deeply about the Ryan House. I say that honestly. It's really important that we have people who are focused on our heritage. And I know, Randy, you're a person who comes here, talks about little bits of Sumner and folks that have passed away, and ties history to a lot of things that I don't have. So I appreciate that. But it's time to move forward. We can't get stuck. We have to move forward, and that's all that I ask, is that we move forward together, even if we're unhappy about it. I'm not happy about it, but there's really no other way to do this. So that's what I have to say. I'll pass the baton.
Thank you, Matt. Councilmember Reinke.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'll say thank you to the members that are volunteering on the committees, and also want to say I hope everybody had a happy Easter this weekend. That's kind of got lost in the shuffle, but anyway. And I'll make a few comments on the Ryan House. I guess when you talk about history, some people look at me. I've been here 43 years. So I moved here in September of '82, right upstairs. Lived 3 years in this building. Responded as a firefighter for those years as a resident. Then got hired on. For 35 years, I put the uniform on and responded on calls, went to this community, buildings, calls, different things to protect citizens of the town. And I would love for more than anything to come up with a happy solution on this. We could make something work, but I'm not sure we can. It's been 2 years in the making. As Deputy Mayor Bowman said 2 years ago, 5 of the 7 of us were not up here. We did not vote to do this, but here we are living with the circumstances that we're in, and we have to make decisions. Like Councilman Canna said, we have a whole city to run. There's not just, this. And I've been on the council just over a year, and this has probably been the most amount of time I spent on any one subject is the Ryan House. And that includes a biennium budget and a comprehensive plan, which we spent countless hours on, retreats. We spent all kinds of time on that. So, and I grew, like I said, I didn't grow up here. I moved here at 19. But the Ryan House was a big thing for me. I raised 3 kids here. They never left this town. They were born here, raised here, went to Ryan House. I can't count how many times. And they loved it. I loved it. And I still think it's, a great asset. But we also have a lot of things in this town that we don't have anymore either. And I can just attest to from the fire service side, Casey's Caboose, the beach house, the attic, Keith Peterson's building right here on Alder and Main. We lost a whole city block and around the corner one year. The bowling alley. A lot of people don't know we had a bowling alley at the east end of town. That thing burned to the ground. And most of those have never come back. Now in their spots is new stuff. So Electric Coffee's over there. Marshall Bennett's going to build his new building back in the attic. The bowling alley never came back, and I guess these things don't define a city. What defines a city is the community and the people in it. And as much as I, do have a soft spot for the Ryan House, I do think it's a great thing. It's all about the history, but it's at what cost, and $2 million is a lot of money, especially for a city our size to come up with. And I won't go into all the stuff that's gone back and forth over the last, 2 years, basically. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on it. And like I said, I wish we could come up with a solution and work something out. But we're to the point where, we can keep, dragging this out, dragging it out. And I think we have to make a decision. And for me, it's kind of unfortunate. I'm going to be on the council when this decision gets made, probably. So, and when it happens, and that's something that we all got to live with up here and have to deal with. So, anyway, just the last thing I would say is that even like all these things I mentioned that are gone, we're still a great community, great people, citizens. And the employees here, they all do a great job. They're working for the citizens. And I still think that Sumner is still a pretty good community to live in. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Clerget.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to welcome also the new committee members. Appreciate that. And then I'm kind of coming from the couple of comments I've heard on lack of maintenance. So some of you may not know that but our family has lived in this community since 1923. I raised my kids here, and my grandson goes to Sumner High. I spent half my life working for Sumner, maintaining the infrastructure, working within a budget, stretching the useful life out of all the equipment, buildings, and utilities. I just got to say there was maintenance done to the Ryan house: roof, paint, electrical, plumbing, deck, yard, all those things you do to prolong the useful life of a house. And you do those things until that just doesn't work anymore. Then you have to take a hard look at the direction you want to take. At this time, the needs around the city and for all the community is more than the one house. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Elfers.
Well, coming in the caboose here. Happy Easter. That needs to be said. And then I went to the PCRC meeting. So Pierce County Regional Council meeting was last Thursday. Pretty short meeting, but it was a great. We heard from the new sheriff, Keith Swank. He gave an update, and I think two of the goals I heard from him were just he's really focusing on getting crime down. Mostly, I said he focused on organized crime because there's been a little more of that in our area. And then also the good news was they've had a lot of problems with keeping staff, getting restaffed. They lost a lot of folks during COVID, and so they're trying to get their full-time employees up so they have less vacancies. So I think that was two of the big things, and they're actually at a low. Like they're doing a good job with that, so they're making progress. So those are the two things on his update that I appreciated. I also appreciated that he had some of his own opinions about how to handle political issues that kind of interfere a little bit with law enforcement. So that was interesting to hear him. I think if a person's elected, they should have an independent viewpoint, and I thought he expressed his views very well, and I appreciated that. So I do need to chime in on the Ryan House because everyone is chiming in on the Ryan House, and we have heard quite a lot. I think we have gotten a lot of emails. Some of the stuff we've heard, it doesn't seem like the information is really accurate. So I think it's important to set the record straight on a few things. As far as Sumner, since we're all talking about our past, my dad started teaching at Sumner High School in 1970. I'm guessing, I think it's 74 or 76. And then I've lived in town for 20 some years. So I've had a long history with Sumner, and I love the community. Been in the Ryan House a couple times. I don't want to be too honest, but I wasn't that impressed. I lived in an old house in town that had 3 remodels, and it was just to patch the other house on Main Street. And it's obvious that house was. There's houses in Sumner that I think are amazingly built, well-constructed houses, and the Ryan House had a great history. Love the story. From a physical structure perspective, since I do investing in real estate, that was not a structure that was well constructed to last hundreds of years. So amazing that it lasted as long as it did. So I came into the council. The decision was already made on the demolition thing, so I kind of came in late. I was actually kind of upset about the way that was handled, and so I was very much looking at like, hey, we made a decision. First of all, I think on the comp plan, 10 years before we just redid it, or whenever, I think it's 8 years or whenever, it was on there to restore the Ryan House. And so we, in Sumner, have one of the great things about Sumner is some of our top staff people live in town, and I think that is a huge deal because a lot of cities, people commute in, go to work, go home, and they don't care about their community. And in Sumner, I think we're quite a bit different than most communities. I think that's a really big asset, is that we have quite a few people who've worked in town, who live in town, who really care about the community. And I don't want to miss that point, because I think when we look at that, we spent 6 or 7 years, it probably could be 8, I don't know, trying to figure out how to save the Ryan House, trying to restore it, looking for grants, putting hours and hours and our money into that through people's time, employees' time. So when they made the decision to demolish the Ryan House, I thought that was done wrong. I thought it was done too quickly, without enough public input. So that was one of the first things that came up when I was on the council. So we worked at saying, what can we do about it? How do we get the community involved? Is there a way to talk about this and just get more public input? So I actually, along with Councilmember Bowman, we said, well, we worked with some of you folks here, and we said, how can we? What are your concerns? What can we do? And we actually drafted a resolution. to figure out, hey, what kind of terms? There's talk about a partnership, about saying, hey, how can the community partner with Sumner to save this Ryan House? And so I work in my business. We do partnerships, so I'm very familiar with partnerships. I'm very familiar with negotiating. So I thought, oh yeah, this is a good opportunity. We can put forth a resolution that kind of drafts like, hey, what are the terms the city can work with the community to create a partnership? So we spent a lot of time creating a resolution that worked from a legal standpoint, and that allowed the city to be like, hey, this is reasonable, because we couldn't. The cost of the project kept getting more and more. The more we got into the house, the more it was expensive. So the costs are important. In the city, we were wanting to take a limited amount of risk on cost, because taxpayers, even the taxpayers who complained about the Ryan House, they often say in their emails, but we don't want to pay more taxes for it. And so it's interesting to see that people that love the Ryan House, but there's not a lot of people interested in paying for the repair, and the city is representing those people. So when we're drafting this agreement, we brought it to a council meeting, and we got some feedback. The feedback was extremely helpful for me. It actually clarified my view on this thing, because what I was looking for is, hey, we got people in the community that are interested in saving this house. We're going to work together. We're going to find a way to save this house and come up with some funds. But when we heard feedback from the public, it was clear that there was no organized effort at all. There was 5 different ideas presented. People who had those ideas were not working together. There was a lot of criticism of the amount of money that we wanted raised. There was criticism of the time frame. So we gave a clear time frame and a clear amount of money and said, let's do a partnership. And actually, one of the people who came in said, if you guys do this resolution, we might sue the city. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. So I think it was really obvious at that point to me that the resolution, we said no to the resolution, because we were like, why would we want to risk ourselves getting a lawsuit? So there has never been presented to us a valid partnership that actually would work. There's been partnerships in other cities. I've seen it. I would love a partnership. So we've been continuing to listen and talk, and we basically said we wanted $2.2 million. We wanted it by December. Here we are, April 21st. We have not seen any indication of more. I think we had a verbal commitment of a potential $500,000 matching grant, which is the best we heard. And I was like, well, that's a matching grant, so you got to get the first $500,000, then you can maybe. So there's been conversations, lots of conversations. So, but really, we just needed money, and we need it in a specific amount of time, because this thing can't go on forever. So I just want to say, and I've talked to Nick about this, and I think really keeping Sumner's history aware of that and being aware of history is important to me. I guess my dad was a history teacher. I understand history is super important, and I think that's important to preserve it. What I would like to do, and I've encouraged Nick, I've encouraged you to say, hey, let's focus on a project we can work on together, because I just don't think this is the right one. I think this project is a lot of money. It's taking a lot of city resources, a lot of time. I really hope there's no litigation on it, because that's going to take more city resources. But I really would like to work together and say, what can we do to take the Lucy Ryan Park, which is likely going to happen, and make it something that honors the Ryan family, and do what we can, instead of focusing on the way that we're doing this. I just want to move forward. I want to find a path where we can preserve the past, but I want to focus on making the future better. And I feel like that's where I'd like to be. I would encourage that. That conversation is great, but I did want to give a little bit of feedback on that. There's been a lot of talk. My dad's in the Historical Society in Enumclaw, so I know Nick, you, and one other person went there, and visited the Historical Society, and he gave me some feedback, and he had gotten some misinformation, and I said the city wasn't listening, and I was like, all we do is listen. We get public comments, and it's almost always about the Ryan House for 2 years. I've been on the council the whole time. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate the feedback. We'd love to collaborate on moving forward and making something that honors the past, but we do need to move forward, and I think that's really what you're hearing. And I hear you, Randall said something about 7-0 vote. There's a lot of conversations that happen in committees and different levels at council. So if we're going to disagree, we disagree, but we do it in a respectful way, and we're trying to work together to try to create a city that has a culture where we work together and we collaborate. But we do talk a lot. We don't always agree, and I do think we make a big effort to be transparent. And what you're hearing is that's what we do. So I just want to reiterate: I want to preserve the past, but I do feel like we need to move forward and to create a better future and in this park. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coming up at next week's study session, you'll hear from CFO Cassandra Raymond on the 2024 financial report, and we'll also be giving an update on the Public Works Operations Facility bond sale. So we did complete that about a week ago, so we'll be sharing those results with you next week. At the May 5th regular council meeting, we have a couple of proclamations, one for Police Week and Peace Officer Memorial Week, another proclamation for the Washington Association of Building Officials. And we will be holding a public hearing on the 142nd Avenue East partial right-of-way vacation. On the personnel front, I'm excited to say that tomorrow our city will be celebrating the graduation of Cody Layton from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. Cody will begin his 3-month field training program, and when complete, Sumner will be fully staffed at our 2024 staffing levels. That's quite the accomplishment. It's been a while since we've been fully staffed. As you might recall from the budget, you did include 2 positions for 2025, and we're actively recruiting for those and backgrounding folks and hope to have them filled later this year. And that's it for me tonight. We do have an executive session that the mayor will be announcing shortly.
Yep. All right, thank you. I just want to say that when it comes to how many years you've been here, I think I win. And being a barber in town for 43 years, right downtown Sumner, I've seen a lot of things come and a lot of things go. But Sumner is a ton better place than it's ever been right now, and it's just going to get better. So with that being said, I will adjourn this meeting into executive session for a period of no more than 30 minutes to discuss with legal counsel pending a threatened litigation for RCW 42.30.1101I. There will be no action to follow, and I will send us into at 7:06.